We believe we are the architects of our day. We wake, we plan, we act. We celebrate our victories and mourn our defeats, convinced that our conscious will is the captain of our ship. But what if this conviction, this entire experience of daily freedom, is a grand and beautiful illusion? What if the script for your day, every chance encounter, every sudden obstacle, every wave of emotion, was already written, finalized, and sealed while you were lost in the depths of sleep last night? This is not a theory of fatalism. It is a theory of a deeper, more profound form of control. Ancient mystical traditions hinted at it. Esoteric texts encoded it in parable and verse. But it was a 20th century mystic, Neville Goddard, who dared to translate this secret into a stark and practical technology of consciousness. He proposed that sleep is not an escape from reality. It is the very workshop where reality is forged. For the 8 hours we lie unconscious, a third of our entire existence, we are not merely resting. We are actively creating. Conventional science offers a comforting, yet incomplete picture. It tells us sleep is for cellular repair, for memory consolidation, for the brain to wash away metabolic toxins. And it is. But this is like describing a master painter's studio as merely a place to store brushes and clean canvases. It acknowledges the tools but ignores the masterpiece being created. What if the true purpose of sleep has been overlooked, not by accident, but because its full implications would fundamentally dismantle our understanding of power, victimhood, and the very fabric of existence? Consider the sacred proportion. 1/3 of our life is spent in this mysterious state, a perfect trinity echoed in ancient philosophies: mind, body, spirit, observer, observation, observed. This is not a biological coincidence. It is a design that allocates a specific portion of our existence to the programming, and the remaining 2/3 to the execution of that program. You are living today the results of last night's inner work. The tragedy is, for most of us, that work has been left to chance. The Bible, a document often stripped of its metaphysical depth, contains a stunningly precise technical manual in the book of Job. It reads, "In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction." Notice the language. It does not say suggests or inspires. It says it seals their instruction. A seal is a mark of finality, of an unalterable command. While your conscious mind is dormant, your deeper awareness is receiving and locking in the very commands that will orchestrate the so-called random events of your coming day. Those who understand this mechanism do not simply go to sleep. They approach their bed with the reverence of a high priest entering a holy sanctum. They know that the coming hours are the most potent and creative period available to a human being. They know that the veil between the worlds of cause and effect becomes almost non-existent. Why were we never taught this? Why has our education, both scientific and spiritual, placed all its emphasis on the 16 hours of waking effort, while ignoring the 8 hours of effortless creation? The answer is as simple as it is unsettling. A society that believes its happiness and security depend on external authorities, on governments, on economies, on institutions, is a society that is easily managed. A population that sleeps in a state of anxiety over the news, in a state of lack from financial pressures, or in a state of comparison from scrolling through social media, will wake up programmed to experience and perpetuate those very states. It creates a perfect feedback loop of disempowerment. You are sold a solution to a problem you unknowingly created for yourself the night before. This knowledge doesn't just change your life. It is a quiet revolution. It is the rediscovery of a power that has never left you, only been forgotten. Every night you cross a threshold. Your body remains in bed, but your consciousness embarks on a journey into the vast, silent architecture of your own being. This is the subconscious mind. It is the feminine, receptive principle of creation. It is the fertile soil that accepts any seed planted within it without judgment. During the day, your conscious mind, the masculine directing principle, navigates the world. It analyzes, it resists, it struggles. But as sleep approaches, it grows tired. It relinquishes control. And in that moment of surrender, it hands over the sum total of its dominant feelings to the subconscious. This is the sacred union that Neville spoke of. It is the alchemical marriage that gives birth to all experience. The subconscious never sleeps. It is the tireless servant, the universal builder. When it receives the blueprint, the final dominant feeling of your waking hours, it immediately sets to work. It spends the entire night arranging the complex tapestry of your tomorrow. It shifts people, moves circumstances, and aligns synchronicities, all to ensure that your outer world becomes a perfect mirror of the inner impression it was given. The dreams you vaguely remember upon waking, they are merely the echoes from the workshop, the background noise of the machinery of creation. The real work is happening on a much deeper level. Ancient civilizations understood this. The dream temples of Egypt and Greece were not places of mere superstition. They were sophisticated laboratories of consciousness. Initiates were taught precise techniques to incubate specific dreams, to solve intractable problems, and to receive profound revelations by consciously directing this nightly process. They knew that sleep was a portal, a gateway to the causal realm. The stories of the patriarchs, Jacob's ladder to heaven, Joseph's interpretation of Pharaoh's dreams that saved a nation, these are not fables of divine favoritism. They are demonstrations of a universal law, available to anyone who learns to use this portal with intention. The problem is that we, in our modern world, stumble through this portal unconsciously, carrying the emotional debris of our day. We fall asleep ruminating on arguments, replaying frustrations, and marinating in our anxieties. We are planting seeds of chaos and waking up to a harvest of more of the same, never suspecting our own role in the cycle. Neville Goddard's great discovery was one of timing and precision. He identified the critical window of opportunity, not the hours before bed, but the final few minutes. That sacred, liminal state as you drift from wakefulness into sleep. Today, neuroscience calls this the hypnagogic state. It's a period characterized by theta brainwaves, the same waves dominant in states of deep meditation and profound creativity. In this state, the analytical mind is offline, and the barrier between the conscious and subconscious becomes exquisitely permeable. A single, powerful feeling impressed upon the subconscious at this moment has more creative force than hours of waking effort. The method he taught is almost insulting in its simplicity, which is perhaps why it is so often overlooked in a world that equates complexity with effectiveness. It requires no elaborate rituals, no expensive seminars, no external gurus. It requires only you, your bed, and a willingness to feel. The technique is this. As you lay down to sleep, you capture the feeling, not the thought, not the visualization, but the pure, visceral feeling of your wish already being a present fact. How would you feel right now if your deepest desire were already your reality? And here lies the secret within the secret. The feeling of fulfillment is not loud, frantic excitement. Excitement is the feeling of chasing a desire. Fulfillment is the feeling of having it. And that feeling is almost always one of serene stillness. It is peace. It is naturalness. It is a quiet, confident knowing. The person who is truly wealthy does not feel a jolt of excitement looking at their bank account. They feel a sense of normalcy. The person securely in love does not feel a constant, anxious buzz. They rest in the peaceful certainty of their connection. Your subconscious is an infallible lie detector. It knows the difference between the desperate performance of a feeling and the genuine resonance of its quiet presence. This is the great teaching encoded in the Song of Songs, a text that has perplexed theologians for centuries. By night on my bed I sought him whom my soul loveth. By night on my bed, the specific time and place for this sacred work. I found him and I would not let him go. This is the key. It is easy to momentarily capture a feeling. The true art is to hold it gently, to not let it go, to sustain it as your one and only reality as you surrender consciousness and drift into the deep. Until I had brought him into my mother's house and into the chamber of her that conceived me. The mother is the subconscious. The chamber is the state of deep sleep, where the seed of feeling is planted to be gestated into reality. Once the seed is planted, the text offers a final, crucial instruction, that ye stir not up, nor awake my love till he please. In other words, let it be. Once you have successfully impressed the subconscious, your work is done. You do not dig up the seed every morning to see if it has sprouted. You trust the process. You walk through your day with an inner knowing, an unshakable faith that the reality you conceived in the darkness of your subconscious is now, by an inviolable law, making its way into the light of your world. This understanding completely reframes the concept of free will. During your waking day, you are not as free as you think. You are largely an actor playing a part, responding to cues and situations that were predetermined by your own consciousness the night before. Your true, sovereign freedom lies in that narrow, sacred window before you sleep. That is your moment of choice. You cannot control tomorrow's script during the day because it is already in motion. But you can, tonight, choose to write an entirely new script for the day after. This is not a passive philosophy. It is the highest form of personal responsibility. It is the recognition that you are not a victim of your world. You are its dreamer. Every night you are given a clean slate, a chance to die to your present limitations and be reborn into a new reality. We have been taught to fight our circumstances, to struggle against the outer world. But this is like an actor trying to argue with the script. The real work is not to change the play from the stage, but to go backstage to the writer's room, which is your own consciousness, on your own bed, in the final moments before you sleep. So the question is not whether this power exists. It is flowing through you at this very moment. The question is not whether creation is happening. It happens every single night without fail. The only question is, will you continue to let this immense creative power operate on autopilot, fed by the random anxieties and frustrations of the day? Or will you, tonight, seize the helm? Will you consciously choose the feeling of the reality you desire, hold it in a loving embrace, and carry it with you into the silence? You are the eternal dreamer, pretending to be the dream. The dream can be anything you choose. It is time to awaken to your power, not by waking up in the morning, but by learning how to fall asleep.